So hello everyone. Welcome to another very interesting video of the Fun with Python series. So today we'll be discussing concepts about OOPs. Okay. And these are edge case scenarios, or you can say very important for the interview. So let's just start with our first question. So let me open a fresh Python console. Yeah. So in this example, guys, what we can see is we have class variable versus instance variable. Okay, we have a class called test in which we have a class variable lang. We have initialized it with Python, right? The value is Python. Now inside it, we are trying to define our init, and in init we are initializing the language with variable language, and it is like by the definition we can see that it is a optional argument. Okay, we can pass it or we can not pass it. Now we are defining an object 1 with test. Okay, and we are not passing anything. Object 2, okay, of the class test, and we are passing a value C++. Definitely, like, it will be passed to the init class, and it will be like passed on to the variable language, and the self dot language lang will initialize this with C++. Now the question, okay, let's suppose we try to print object1 dot lang where we have not passed any values, and we are trying to print object2 dot lang where we have passed C++. So what could be the answer? I will pause here for a while, and we'll then run the question, or like the program, so that we can reveal the answer. So I hope you have already commented your answers. Now we'll run this. Okay. So we can see that the first one is having Python and the second one is having C++. Okay. Now what just happened here? Like, this is by default the class variable will be initialized. If not, if we are passing some value, then the instance variable will get precedence. Okay. Now we have another portion to this question where we are trying to change test.lang equal to go. Now we are initializing another object of the class test, and we are trying to print the language. So it is very tricky, but again, like, if you understand this, it will be very easy for you guys to clear interviews and to understand the basic concepts of Python. So as we see that it printed go, like it is printing a string go. Now what just happened, I'll try to explain you guys. What we are doing, we are changing the class variable itself. Okay, inside the class we have defined it as lang equal to Python, but this statement test.lang equal to go will change the entire definition. Now whenever we initialize any object, or like create any object of this class, by default it will have the class variable defined as go. Okay, and if we pass any variable while defining the, like, while creating the object, then definitely that object variable will, or the instance variable will get the precedence. I hope we made this concept very clear. Okay, the difference between like a class variable and instance variable, right? With this, let's move on to the next question, guys. So multiple init methods. Let's suppose we have mostly we have seen that we initialize anything with okay, we have a single init method. Now what will happen if we have two init methods? Will it, like, one is having no arguments, okay, another is requiring an argument to be passed. So let's suppose, okay, let's suppose we are passing this argument called 10 to this. What will happen? Will the first init method will be called, or the second init method will be called? Again, like you can pause the video here and you can comment your answers. I hope that you have already done that. So let's run this. Now we are getting the output that second init is called 10. Okay, whatever the value we have passed is getting printed and additionally. Now let's define S1 equal to sample. Okay. Now let's suppose we are not passing any value. So what will happen? Will the first init get called where we do not require to pass any argument, or will it call the second init method and get failed? Okay, we'll try to see. So it is giving an error, guys. That clearly means that only one init method can be defined inside a class, and we cannot have multiple init methods. Whatever init method we have defined at the very last, that will get precedence and it will be used while creating any object, right? So I hope that init method part is very clear now, and whenever you get any questions around this topic, you'll be very easily able to answer. Right, guys? So let's just move to the next interesting question. Method overriding with super. Okay, what do you see here? Like we have a class called parent, and we are defining a method called show. Then it will print parent show. Now we have another class child, which is okay, it is a child class. Okay, and it inside it we have show method again, and we are calling the super method, and inside that we are calling the show. Okay, so in the parent class we are trying to call the show method in short. Now we are printing child show as well, so inside the child class we are trying to print child show. So what will this statement print? In this we are trying to create an object of child, and then we are trying to call the show method of the child class. Will it print just child show, or it will print the parent show? You can pause the video here, guys, and you can comment down your answers, and I hope you already have done this. Now what we'll do, we'll run this. Okay, as we always say, how do we learn something? We need to run the programs. That is the easiest and most effective way, right? Let's run this. So what we see, it has both parent show and child show. Now what could be the reason? You must be thinking what could be the reason. Even if we are just here, we are creating an object of the child class, and we are calling the show method of the child class, but it has printed parent show and child show both. So the reason here is because inside the child class show method, we have called the parent class show method, which in turn is printing parent show. That's why, like, when we create an object, so okay, an object is created of the type child, and we are trying to call the show. So we are inside the show method. Then it is calling the parent class show method, which will print the parent show, and in the next line we are printing the child dot show. I hope this is very clear now, like method overriding with super, right? So let's move to the next question. Okay, private variables and name mangling. Okay, so you must be aware of the underscore concept, where we use underscore to add a private nuance to the variable, like variables which we do not want to be used by any object. Okay, which should be like it should be private to the class itself. Okay, now here in this example, what we are doing, we have a class called account, and we are defining the init method. Inside it, we have a required or argument called balance. And what we are doing, we are trying to initialize the balance, okay, which is a private variable, okay, and we are like initializing it with the argument balance. Now, what we are doing, a equal to account 5000. We are trying to create an object of class account, and the name of the object is a, and we are passing 5000 as the balance. Definitely it will initialize the balance with 5000. Okay, now we are trying to print a dot underscore underscore balance. So you can pause the video here, guys, and you can think that, and you can comment like what could be the answer. I hope that you have already done this. Now we'll try to run this and see what has just happened. So we are getting an attribute error. Account object has no attribute underscore underscore balance. So what do you think? What has happened? If it was defined inside the class, why we are not able to access this? So here name mangling comes into picture, where like whenever like inside Python we do not have direct concept of private variables where we define anything privately, and it will be preserved inside a class or a subclass, child class, right? What it does, it adds the name of the class, okay, prefixes the name of the class before the actual private variable name, so that accidentally we don't change, or like outside no one is able to access that particular variable. Now next question is, how would we access this? So I'll tell you how. It actually creates this variable. Okay, as we said, it creates this variable, and in this way we are able to access, right guys? So I hope this name mangling concept is clear to you. Even if we create private variable, there is a way how Python does this, is by adding a prefix of the class before the private variable name, so that the value is preserved and we accidentally do not access this, right? So let's move to the last question of today's episode or video, you can say, which is multi-level inheritance order. So we have a class, and we have the init method where we are printing a dot init. We have a child class b which inherits a, and we are again calling the init method of the parent class. We have a c which inherits b, and we are trying to call the init method of we are defining the init method of the class c, where we are calling the init method of parent class, and we are printing c dot init. So this one, guys, it must be very very clear to you already, because we have discussed a similar question. You can pause the video here, guys, and comment what could be the answer. And I hope that you have already done that. Let's run the question, and let's bring the cat out of the bag. So we'll create Yeah. So when we create an object of the C class, we are getting A dot init, B dot init, C dot init. It is very much similar. What is happening is like when we call the init method of the class C, first it calls the parent class init method. Then inside the parent class, it will call its parent class's method. So A dot init gets printed first, then B dot init, and after this statement, it returns to the second statement print where C dot init is getting print. Right, guys? So these kind of questions not only like helps us to understand the things, but it keeps us uh, maintaining the inquisitiveness or the interest we have for Python, and there are a lot of things to learn. So stay tuned, guys. Please keep watching the Fun with Python series of like from Akansha Academy, and please subscribe to our channel. Share this entire playlist or the video with anyone who you want. It could be helpful to them, right? So thank you so much for staying till this video. Press the like button if you like the video, and also like you can share directly to your like any of the WhatsApp groups, or you can share it in Facebook or whatever friend groups you have. You can share so that people can get benefited from this video. Okay, we'll be back with another video with again very interesting questions. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. See you in the next video.